Hello and welcome. And oh no, where did Joseph go?
Oh no! What did you do? Am I here?
No,
Am
you're
I
not here. You're totally gone.
I'm gone.
I don't know where Joseph went. Oh my gosh.
Never mind, I'll find someone like you. We're gonna get flagged for a DCMA on that one. Sorry about that. DMCA? What's that
DMCA,
thing?
Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Digital. Yeah. Hi, how are you, everybody? It's a great day. It's a Saturday.
There we go.
Things are wild and out right now. And hello, I have arrived.
He has arrived.
I
Okay.
have arrived.
Sorry for the technical difficulties there, everybody. Have a good Saturday morning, or afternoon or evening, wherever it is, where you are in the world.
4 a.m. for Rufu.
It's
over
not
on
even
Twitch
morning
TV.
for me. It's 2 in the afternoon for me. I don't know why I said morning.
That's right.
So
You know, it's always morning somewhere, Alex.
it's always morning somewhere. So let's see. How is everybody doing? So quick news before we just jump into the Game Maker. The Game Jam is going on right now. Joseph, do you have a link for that we can put in the chat?
I do. I can get that going.
So
really
check out the
quickly.
Medium article. It's over 300,000 sand in prizes going out to the winners. And we've got until, I believe, May 14th, I want to say, is the last day to submit. Did I get that right?
17.
17th, sorry. So May 17th is the last day to submit. So there is a lot of time to build something pretty cool. And that is all that has been said so far, cheesy potatoes. So we're going to jump into the Game Maker and just start making some stuff. So see, Guttermonk has a question here. How do I exit out of the game I built? So that's interesting. Gives the choice to restart or keep playing. Yeah, okay, so you just hit tab. So if I create a new land here, once you hit tab to start playing and you're in the game, you can always hit tab to go right back out, and you can also press O. You can't really see it because of the scroll at the bottom, but next to Joseph there's 2 letters, I for inventory and O for options. You could see them if we didn't have that little scroll on the bottom. You know, that scroll can move to the top. There's no reason for it to be
I can
done.
cover up that release Windows Player
go.
0.6.1.
Now everybody can see the bottom. There you go. Much
By the
better.
way, if you haven't downloaded the update for 0.61, it does fix some minor glitches that we've had recently. So you want to check that out over on the website at sandbox.game.
So you press O and you can restart the game or adjust your settings there, which includes new to 0.6 is borderless window, full screen, and windowed mode. Resolution, you can turn sound on and off, adjust your camera sensitivity, and see all the controls. So some nice improvements there. Having a windowed mode is actually really, really helpful for when I'm working on stuff now, is that I do have 2 screens and I can do stuff that way, but my bigger, nicer screen is the one right in front of me, and sometimes I don't like turning my head constantly, and it's, it gets a little tiring on the neck. Camera sensitivity, I set that down to 1.5. I think it was at 2 before by default. So if you're experiencing if the camera feels weird, if you just updated and the camera feels weird, I'd recommend lowering the sensitivity a little bit, because for me it felt like I was on a roller coaster or something. It was a little intense. All right, so what are we gonna work on today? What can we make? On Wednesday we covered how to set up a quest system where you have to keep your teammates alive, and how to clear that quest. If you do keep all your teammates alive, how do you get rid of the quest from the screen without getting a game over? So that's what we did on Wednesday. Let's see what we can do today. Let's take a look at some of the behaviors. We're just going to put any asset down.
Alex, have you ever done a live stream? I've seen them in the Game Maker Academy streams. You have done a live stream, that is true. But have you done a live stream that includes the RNG mechanic?
I have not. So I have a vague understanding of how it works. And I could set one up right now. Um, let's see.
Like if you did just to show the mechanics, if you could do one that has and traditionally I see this done with like the calculator asset, but 3 different calculators and they move left to right and
Mm-hmm.
they have commands programmed to them when they're in adjacency to an object that you interact with, right?
Right.
So like
Yeah.
you push a button and this one happens to be floating over near the button, then it does that command, and if it's one of the other two it'll do another one.
Yep. That's let's see. What's the is it control panel? What's it called?
And then while
It's not a button.
I think it's number pad.
Number
Maybe?
pad. That's what it is. Thank you.
Now,
This
Hooked
is what we usually use.
Outdoors over on YouTube asks, I noticed people talking about shorelines in the game map, as in an ocean. Is that true? And if so, will those lands have a beachfront? Um, Hooked Outdoors, there is no such thing as a shoreline, an ocean, any sort of
I
environment.
understand where the confusion comes from, though.
Yes.
So I'm going to pull up the map.
Currently on the map, we have some plots of land that have been sold. So you can see that by them being, generally speaking, green. Basically, all the outline spaces have been sold at some point as lands. And so people are speculating that the center parts that, let's say we'll call it a river, since you want to equate it to water in this case, those black rivers would be ocean or water. But the reality is they are just simply unsold lands. So you can make your games anything that you want them to be. If you want them to have a beachfront or a shoreline, you can design that when you make it. And we've seen streams like that, content like that. Andy Ritchie's stream features a lot of beachfront property, I think, right now under this like Yggdrasil tree. So you can check that out. I know that Andy was streaming yesterday. Maybe they're streaming today. I'm not sure. But the idea of oceanfront property or what have you is entirely up to you. Now, that said, what does it mean when you go from a land to a land? If you walk to the edge of your map, whatever you've designed, whether it be 1x1 or 2x1 or 2x2, you get to the edge and it will read the coordinate of the land you're walking up to and say, hey, you're about to go over here. Do you want to go? And you have about 5 seconds to cancel if you don't want to go. So now, if you were on the very outside edges of the 404 by 404 lands spaces, right? The very outside edges, when you walk to the edge of your map, it just simply won't tell you that you're going to another land because there's no land to go to when you're on the outside edge. So that's really it. There's nothing like laying out there or, like a beachfront or an ocean, because everything that you put out there off the edge is using more system resources. And ideally, when you're making your game, you're going to want this to work for as many platforms and as many people as possible. So you're not loading codes that are adjacent to you or assets that are adjacent to you, with the exception of that like little preview picture when you do walk to the edge in the actual metaverse. You won't see that kind of thing walking to the edge and moving to the next land in the game maker because the games are isolated and they're unique to you. But when you do publish to the metaverse, then it starts to take into account your coordinate, and that's what the NFT is for, is establishing that coordinate. So, really complicated answer to a pretty simple question.
Andy Ritchie's actually in the chat with us and said that the 4x4 land that they've been working on is actually on the gallery right now. Let's see if we can find it.
And Christopher Miller on YouTube. Yes, you can travel from plot to plot. It's only that when you do walk to the edge, in order to avoid loading excess code and assets, you don't get a visual preview aside from a picture that will pop up as a preview picture. And this is important as a game designer because you're basically going to want to make your pop-up picture as pretty as possible to give people an idea of what your game is. And it's the same picture that you would see here in the gallery. Like the example you can see on the screen, there was Octopus Island or Easter Egg Hunt that Alex was showing, or this one that's like a 0.2 test. It's an older version, but it checks out. And it has that picture there. That's what you would see when you walk up to the edge of the land, is you're going over here. So as a designer, make it as pretty as possible, as appealing as possible if you want people to jump into your land.
Yeah, having a nice screenshot for your land, and you can adjust those things from your inventory on the marketplace. So you go to the dashboard, you can see all the lands that are synced to your account, and wow, this is huge. I don't think I've seen a 4x4 like open out before. That somebody's actually been working on. They've more been like kind of like there's things in the way, so you can't really see the full length of the land and how far the fall off goes. So this is Andy Ritchie's, and I'm just kind of giving you a look of the scope here. And if we go to the edge, let's see if we can get all the way to the edge over here. I think on the gallery it will show that that display that you're exiting the land.
But it'll say like no experience, right?
Oh no, it doesn't on. It does if you're on the demo worlds for the Metaverse map. So they do actually have to be published to the map, which is not something that users can do right now, but it's something that, as we've shown it on screen before a little bit, when we've gone to the multiplayer demo and shown off what that experience looks like, jumping around the social hub for the scientists, oracles, and heroes. Whoa, that's a big hole. I'd like clenched up a little bit inside. So when you get to the edge of the map, it does actually it shows that display like what Joseph was describing. There's not really a way for me to show it to you right now, but that's what'll happen. And either it'll say that there's no experience available, or it'll say what the experience in the next plot of land is. And another important oops. I thought I could make that jump. Oh, I'm in an igloo. Oh, cool. So the other reason for not showing off the edges of the experience next to you is maybe you don't like your neighbors. Maybe you don't want to show what they have in their land. Maybe it ruins the atmosphere of your game. So if you've got, like Andy Ritchie here has this kind of fantasy landscape with this giant tree and mountains and stuff. And maybe somebody's got like a cyberpunk thing next door that doesn't really fit the aesthetic. Then, that's a reason for you to not want the display on the other side. The other thing is that gameplay can be so vastly different across the border. So if you could just wiggle over the border, I know some people might be comparing this to like crypto voxels or other games that have kind of an open world thing like Second Life and things like that, where you can just kind of cross the borders. Those games kind of assume that you're always going to have the same type of avatar, the same type of gameplay across the borders. And in what we're building here is something vastly different, where you can have a racing game, an RPG, a shooter, and any different sort of game mechanics. You've got quests and stuff. So if you can just walk right over the border, your avatar is going to instantly switch. All your quests are going to close and new quests are going to come up, and that might not be that appealing to play that way. So we do differentiate, but you can see there's a mini map now in the top right corner, and that actually shows you the border of the land. So you can see that right now we're at the intersection of 3 lands. So this is a 4x4 map, and you can see that we're at the crossing of 2 lands here. So we know that if we went here, it would give us a prompt to go to one land, and if we went over here, it would give us the prompt to go to a different land. Unless, of course, that was an estate also, in which case I think the map would probably display that it is one land. This is not uploaded to a map right now, so it's not pulling that information. But that's something that we'll see how that works out when the time comes.
So a question comes in from Rufu over on Twitch, asking, when you cross from one land to the other, how long will the loading screen be? And there are numerous factors.
Yeah.
There are numerous factors that can affect this. For the most part, it's going to be the same amount of time as it took you to load into any other one by one.
Yeah, if you
plus or
directly
minus, let's
loaded.
say, a couple of seconds, right?
Yeah.
Because the first time you load into a game, you are downloading the assets for each game as they are unique. And then that gets dumped from the cache when you go into the next one. So it used to be that you would see them all pop up on the left side when you jumped into a game. That doesn't happen anymore. There's been some UI fixes in that regard. But now all the assets still do have to load each time you go in, whether it be block assets, different unique enemies, all that sorts of thing, right? So if it took you a minute to get into a game before, it'll take you a minute to get into the next one. If it's a 4x4, I would say let's go minute and a half, because there's more stuff in the game. But the core portion of the game, it's all relative to where it first took you to get in. But it can be very fast or slow depending on your PC, your internet, etc. So it's all very, very.
I mean, as fast as you see me loading into these games right now is as fast as it could be when you're going on the map. So, granted, I'm on a very fast computer, although not the fastest internet. So both will impact, because the faster your internet is, the faster you'll be able to download the assets. But the assets are cached, so each time you go to lands, you're going to be building up your cache of preloaded assets, and that will greatly accelerate how quickly your experiences will load. Also, the experiences themselves are cached, so it is not re-downloading from the internet unless there's been a change to the game. When you revisit a land, it's opening up what you've previously opened before. And the past 3 or 4 lands that I've jumped into just now are not ones that I've ever been to before. So they took a few seconds each, and like I said, I'm on a fast computer, so I can't necessarily promise that it'll load that fast for everybody, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty snappy, and going from land to land should be basically the same.
So I want to jump in on another comment that isn't really so much a question, but I think it's fun to address this. Loy6 over on YouTube. You said world quests that cross between games would be awesome. So as it is, there are no active world quests that I'm aware that cross between games. However, there is a kind of global experience. If your game is a more traditional RPG-like game, then you will be able to leverage the season of content and the experience that goes with that season. So more details to that are going to come out when you see those articles talking about the Explorers season, or some people have called it Preseason 0. Then look for those and more details to that as those tweets come in and we get closer to that launch. There's going to be a bunch of stuff coming with regards to that. So let's see. What if you want to see your neighbor and go visit? I mean, you can always walk in land to land as long as there's something published on the Metaverse. So you can go wherever you want. If you, even if you don't want to see your immediate adjacent neighbor, you can go back to the map and you can look, and it'll be represented by logos and such on the map. But you could say, zoom into one of those the sandbox maps, and you can see all of the individual land tiles in there and all the game experiences that have been made inside that. Like the 12x12 at 0, for example. And let's say you got an experience in the top left, but you're in the bottom right. So you go to the Metaverse map, you click the top left, and it'll load it just the same as if you're loading into the gallery here. But you can kind of go whatever catches your eye, or you can simply walk there from one game into the next game. Enjoy each as you go.
So a couple other questions. The Avenged Sevenfold convertible car, that we do not have a vehicle system yet. But let's see, convertible. So what you would need to do for something like this is you'd be able to, whoops, didn't mean to place more than one. You could put a character in it, and let's see if I can do this effectively. So yeah, we don't have a proper vehicle system yet. That hasn't been the focus of the design implementations at the moment. Good grief, the bounding box on this thing. There we go. So I mean, you can just kind of plop somebody in there so for a visual representation of a driver. As things expand, we might be able to get this working with a person. So I just want to select me.
No,
there we go.
You can't have you. Can't do it.
I accidentally clicked off of myself, and it made things more difficult. So you can put somebody in the vehicle, and then you can attach them to it. So I can drag from the hierarchy panel here and attach, which of course you can't see because of the chat. That always happens. That's hierarchy panel here. So yeah, once you select your character, you can drag and drop them onto other assets. Can I remove it? I want to disconnect it. There we go. All right. So I've selected the character. I just drag it on top of there. And now as this moves, it takes the character with it. And then you could set this up to be a bird, which it is by default. And then it'll fly in circles. So we hit play, and they're just having a grand old time.
Nice.
Flying to Las Vegas there. So
there you go.
You can also do other things with this. So you can set, instead of having a bird behavior, you could set it as an animated decoration, and you can pick from the different animations that are included with it. So there's a few different ones, like takeoff is when the wings come out. There's landing where the wings fold back in. So as the game maker advances, we'll have more features to trigger these animations in specific ways. And improve the experience with it. So let's see if you give the bird gravity. So yeah, the collisions plus gravity is designed for like ragdoll effects. So it's going to be pretty crazy. I can't even find it. There we go. So the bird behavior is very aggressive. I don't know a better way to describe it. So thing, yeah, and great. poor me up there. I just am like,
I know you're just flailing, falling with style out there.
Maybe if we turn the speed down and lower the altitude and see if it's a little less frantic. Where is it? No, it's still like that. So the bird behavior, it likes working just the way it is. It doesn't like having too many changes made to it. So when you start doing things like putting gravity on it, it kind of freaks out. I've tried even like attaching. So let's say, I can't even attach it to the character anymore. I could, let's see, if I make, let's get Alex out of there. If I make this a pickable item and I attach the bird to it, so we're going to remove these, we're going to move this, and we're going to add pickable, which means I can grab it and pick it up and run around with it. But then we attach the convertible to it. You would think that it would just kind of like swirl around. Where is it? Where'd it go? I think it yeeted itself out of the universe. Let's see. Can I get it to behave? I think it's just because it's attached to something. Yeah, it doesn't even... I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere. So yeah, the bird behavior likes being... It's a free bird kind of thing. It doesn't like listening to anybody. Oh, you know what? Did I turn off gravity for it? No, I didn't. Maybe that'll help. There it is. Okay. So it's flying in a circle, but if I grab this numpad and try to take it with me, it kind of, it doesn't really listen to me. It just keeps on doing its own thing, but it freaks out because I'm dragging the numpad along with it. So, yeah. Whereas other things like moving platforms, you can do that. So if I'm going to move it over here so we can see it when we first start. If I change this behavior to a moving platform, basic platform, and then we can have it move a little bit more like that. Okay. So it goes back and forth, and then if I grab this and I rotate it, it keeps on doing its normal thing. So it'll keep on going, even though I've changed directions on it, things like that. So you can have a little more control with those. Let's see. What other questions have we got in the chat here? Oh, you're talking about trading from game to game items?
Yeah,
mana and
the
sand.
idea that the tokens may be possible through partnership, but I'm not sure about how they integrate anywhere outside of the marketplace.
Yeah.
That said, the assets and such, I don't know if the 3D render assets from their games or any of them, whether it be Summonium Space, DCL, anything like that, could be imported into the sandbox only for the same reason that we don't want to have more adjacent worlds. And that is when you add a bunch of extra polys to the game, you change the recommended specs for the game. And our target is to, end of year this year, early next year, somewhere in that ballpark, have mobile possible. So in order to have mobile gaming be possible, which is going to open up your lands to another 50 million roughly, downloads based on the Sandbox mobile games. You'll need to keep it limited in the number of polys so that people's phones don't have to work too hard, don't overheat, etc. And then you're maximizing your audience to everyone all over the world instead of just people who buy the new Samsung or the OnePlus or the Huawei, like brand new out of the box, top of the line thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be ready for everyone. So as it is now, and we're continuing to optimize it, you're seeing that the specs required on PC are going down and down and down. And that's part of the reason why we're reworking that, almost all the systems really on the back end, so that they constantly get better FPS performance on lower spec PCs, so that then they can be used on mid-spec, high-spec phones, and then go from there.
Right. So I'm going back to our random number generator thing, which is kind of what we started with here.
Cool.
And I'm kind of, so I haven't actually done that tutorial, but I'm kind of figuring it out. So I had spoken a little bit with Cyberdragon about, was it with Cyberdragon or Andy Rich? I don't remember who I was speaking to about it.
I think both of them have done a stream that includes RNG at this point. And then there are others as well. I know I've seen one from, I'm trying to think, Not Animated, I think did one. And I want to make sure that they're not animated on Twitch. They're not AOPE, which they are on Twitter, AOPE. But, so I get a bit confused by that. But yeah, you've seen these RNG tutorials, and the idea is that depending on what time you interact with something, you'll get a different result, a randomized result. This could also be true if you were fighting an enemy, and then when the enemy died, depending on what trigger element was near this, it may respawn another enemy that is, maybe stronger or weaker or what have you. So there's a lot of different uses for random chance, but it's all here for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was a hugely featured thing that Cyberdragon did over the course of, I think it was like 14 different streams in order to make this game. It doesn't look like that's in the gallery, I don't think. So it's probably an experience they're keeping close to publish it to the Metaverse later. They had something like 150 different potential results, which is, in the millions in terms of unique experiences when you go and play that game. And it's just like taking what Alex is working on here and blowing it up to the next level.
Yeah, what I'm doing is a randomized clock, sort of. So it's basically what's going to happen is this message broadcaster is going to be attached to this bird, and it's going to go in a circle, and if you could see it, then you would be able to pick certain times that you can press the button and activate, say, we'll set it up to a spawner, something where it's really easy to see that it's working. But if you hide this, underground or whatever, you won't be able to tell when you're pressing the button. And even if you tried to time it, there's going to be some factors in there that will just be unknowable to the player. There's no like true randomization in computers, but we can kind of obscure things enough to where it feels random because you can't tell what's going on and you can't predict it. So the world isn't 4x4 based, or 3 based. Sorry. That's just the groups that they're getting sold in. So if you buy a 3x3, you can publish a 2x2, a 2x1, a 1x2, and a 1x1 all on that space if you wanted to. So you can allocate those lands however you want, as long as you own them. And at the moment, we can only do rectangular experiences. I'm not sure if that's going to change or not. But yeah, so the size of the land that you buy is not directly correlated to the size of the land that you can publish. Anything that you can fit in that land that you own, you can publish.
Cool. So while you're working on the first parts of this, and then you can go back and maybe explain it, I want to address kind of a longer question in the chat here. Over on Twitch, Mytharis asks, is there any plans to have it so it's like a giant city eventually? And they elaborate, they say, I was under the impression each plot was next to each other, which they are. I had suspected 3x3 to be like a storefront within a city, not segmented worlds. Is the eventual plan something like that, or will it always be segmented plots of land? Can I grant access to anyone to visit my land, or limit to certain people? And can I have paid areas in my land? So, we'll go with the first 3 quarters first. Each experience is going to be unique and instanced, which is to say that you load that experience. It doesn't matter what the size is per se. You can have currently up to 4x4, which is about 400 meters by 400 meters worth of space. That is just one load, and you can run straight through it without ever having another loading screen. However, that space would be owned by one person. And if you are in that space, you can make it so that people can kind of teleport around vertically or into objects with some of the mechanics that we've shown on these streams, where you can you can kill the character in such a way that it doesn't look like they appear to die, but rather teleport somewhere else. And in doing that, you can make it feel like people are getting unique experiences without having to reload, staying in the same kind of city structure. But when you get to the edge of the experience, you will have to reload to get someone else's new experience. And this is done so that you and your users don't lag on their computer or their phone when those things are readily available in the metaverse. So it's important that we don't program it in such a way that everything has to be loaded all at once and that it's out there in the fog, because we have seen even with super high-end computers, and even though some people look at voxel-based assets as not taxing on a PC, but they can be depending on how it is programmed. And so with the upgrade from, I think it was version 5 to 5.3, we saw a significant reduction in that lag, and that's something that we are constantly pushing towards. As we get closer to that version 1.0, we want to make sure that it's optimized as possible. And so I mentioned this a bit earlier, but it will need to be instanced in order to make sure that you're not loading things that you're not going to play. Otherwise, you would have to load the game code for every game, even as they are right next to each other. And different experiences would be obviously like there's a hard line between them. If someone has a medieval game and it touches your city game, you would suddenly, in your medieval game experience, see a city skyline in the background. And that can be retracting from the quality of your game. You wouldn't want the Elder Scrolls Skyrim to have cyberpunk world like right in the center of that world, you know? There's advantages to it. Now, the other parts of your question, can I grant access to anyone to visit my land? Absolutely. Or limit to certain people? Yes. If you would like to limit to certain people, then you can do a ticketing type of system where people would have to own an NFT that you have made, and then it will read their wallet that's attached to the email in the account, and it'll say, cool, your NFT is in there, so you have access to this land. Um, so you'll see a similar sort of prospect in the seasonal content that we have for the preseason zero test, but more details on that are going to come soon. Now, can I have paid areas in my land? Yes. If you were to buy a 3x3 space worth of land or a 2x1 space, you can say, hey, this section of that space is free and it loads differently than your paid section. And then, promote it inside your free section and say, hey, if you would like to have a paid section, a premium exclusive just for you, then buy this NFT and you'll have access to this space. So it definitely allows that.
A lot of good questions today.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are great questions, and it's super important to understand all of the the reasons why many developers are finding this as a good prospect to get started in. And this doesn't even count the fact that we're doing game jams that will have reward of 300,000 sand distributed to the top 10 submissions in this game jam. They are getting a land NFT one by one, but they are also getting sand to help create assets, purchase assets if they are not an artist that creates in VoxEdit. They can just purchase them outright from the store because they will have that sand. So a lot of cool stuff going on. But another question here, is Sandbox Sand crypto a currency in the game? And will you be able to trade sand in the game? What if sand goes up too much to use this currency and squeezes people out of the market? So that's a lot of questions altogether, but I can definitely address them. It is a cryptocurrency that could be used in the game, but is not currently used in the game as a tool in the game maker. It is intended that in the future you will be able to use sand in the same way that any video game uses a premium currency, like Fortnite has their V-Bucks and such. Sand will be possible to be used in there. Now, in terms of the price of sand, this is going to be important for a developer to create a value proposition. Meaning that people look at your product and they say, this is worth buying, right? No matter what your price is. But you as a developer are setting the price that you desire and then figuring out how to get people to see that value. So let's say you wanted it to be like an arcade where, you're at your local town and you just want people to come and play your game and they pay a very nominal small fee to play every time they want to play. You can do that. And this isn't out there now, but it's definitely there for the intent in the metaverse, where you could say, you are coming into this experience. In order to play it, it costs this much sand. And if you wanted that to be 25 cents US dollars, then you do the conversion, you set the price. If the price of sand goes up as a developer, you would have to manage that if you wanted to continue to hit a US dollars target. Or you could see your value proposition and say, it's still worth this much sand. And so as users are playing, they are playing to earn, right? They are playing the seasonal content. They will earn sand at the end of the season if they play seasonal content. So they will have sand in the ecosystem, and you can take in that sand in your game if you have a good value proposition, if people like what you're making and they want to have fun in your game. So you don't necessarily have to look at it in the traditional sense of like, what's it worth compared to $1, because it's not necessarily like the Fortnites. The ecosystem continues to fill itself up.
All right, I'm doing something wrong. Let's see. I wonder if it's something silly like what happened last week. Or Wednesday, whatever day that was. Let's see.
Oh, another thing to address as well is that if the cost of a one sand token goes up, it's also important to understand that sand is a fungible token. So non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, mean that one is one, right? But a fungible token like sand means that you can make change from it, which is to say that one sand can be broken down into tiny parts, like the pennies of sand or the pence, or what have you, right? Um, so that means that all the way down to 18 decimals past the zero, sand can be chopped up into smaller bits. So it's perfectly possible that even if sand was worth $1 million tomorrow for one, that you can still have someone come and pay 50 cents to play your game. So it's not so much a concern as it is just, you know, an investment proposition. And again, you have to give people kind of a sense of, oh, I like this.
This is a lot bigger than I thought it was.
It is,
I
but
was
it's
not...
showing quite clearly that the randomness is happening because you spawned two different assets, actually three, because it looks like there's two inside each other there. But the RNG is working.
Yeah, I'm gonna change that asset though. It's a cool asset, but it's like that's like a boss you put at the end of your game. That's not something that you spawn randomly. We'll do this little thing. All right. So yep. And then so right now I can time it because I can see. Oh, I didn't get that last one. Okay, I think I did something wrong with this one. Let's see. Ancient artifact. We're going to edit logic. That should be right. Maybe it's the distance that it's offset from. So right now this is a little bit of a janky setup. I'm pretty sure whatever way Andy Ritchie and Cyberdragon have set up is a little more consistent. You can definitely, there it goes. You can make this a more consistent system by having a more complicated setup. So you would need different like relays and things going on. I just wanted to set this up kind of quickly as an example. So what we've got going on is, and you know what? Let's make this more fun. We're going to select these, and we're going to edit logic. We are going to set the Y offset to like 20 on all of them. And we are going to, well, I guess we need to do 20 and, yeah, we need to do a little bit more. Do 20 and 10. And then we're going to turn on gravity. This way it's more like a drop. They should all start falling from the sky eventually. Unless, did I get the numbers? Oh, they're over here. Hello. I got the directions wrong. There they are. So what we have going on here is we've got a bird, technically. And all the bird is there to do is to move our message broadcaster around. So it doesn't really matter what the bird is. It's just going in this little circle, so that way at different points that the button is clicked, the message broadcaster will be over different spawners. And so our next item is attached in our hierarchy panel right here. You can see it's got this little line that indicates it's been attached. This is the message broadcaster. And when we interact with this street ad frame here, it sends out this message call. And you can see the yellow radius, or yellow, the circle around it is how far out that message goes. So we just need it to get to wherever this is going to be. So when that message goes out, this is a relay that sends out another message. So call activates the activate message. And this has a much smaller radius, so that way approximately. I didn't like sketch this out and do the math of exactly the amount of space that I needed between these. I just kind of eyeballed it. But in theory, wherever this is,
Alex, I broke.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm gonna try to fix it. Oh, wait, 1 sec. Let's see if I can just do this. Is that gonna fix it, or do I have to go full screen again?
No, you're good. You turned off your camera, I think.
Yeah, I died a little bit.
Oh no!
I lost you on my audio, and all of it. Just everything was like, nope.
Well, you're back now.
So I was like chatting, and I'm looking, and like I'm moving, but I can't hear myself.
I thought you were quiet.
And I couldn't hear you. No, yeah, but it's good now. It's good now. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. You're great. You're so patient with me. I love it.
So I just kind of roughly eyeballed it. You can actually see that there's a little bit too much of a gap between these, so we can actually move these in a little bit closer. The thing is, we don't want to make them too close, because if they overlap, then we're going to spawn two things at the same time. So you can actually see, like, this is a little bit too close. So we move them out. And
I know what happened, Alex.
What happened?
I crashed because I was trying to provide this great link where you can come be eligible to win a Wizzy the Blue NFT asset for watching today. So if you would like to win an NFT today for watching, you can click on the form here, fill it out for me, please. And in just a few minutes, I will draw a random winner from the, let's say today, I want to try something new and see if I can draw a winner from the first 100 people to fill out the form. Right now, we've only got 3 responses, so I know that there's a good chance. There's still a good chance for you guys to get in. I'll do a little fear of missing out on this one because I want to see the folks who are watching live. It says here there's 104 people watching right now. So I want to see all those 104 people get eligibility. And once it goes over 104, I will stop the form.
All right. So we're actually going to decrease the delay so we can spawn faster. Okay. So just to recap, we've got a bird. Our message broadcaster is attached to the bird. When we interact with this sign, this is like our button or our trigger. It sends a message to what's attached to the bird, and that sends out its own message, but only within a smaller range. And that range keeps on changing because it's attached to the bird that's moving in this circle. So when it's over this one, it will broadcast one item. When it's over this one, it'll broadcast a different item. When it's over this one, it'll broadcast a different item. So you can see that in action. And I can roughly time it, so when it goes over a button, I know that it will spawn a dragon on the top one, a wolf on the left one, and a little dragon idol on the right one. Okay, but if I can't see any of this, if I can't see what's going to happen, then it's just going to keep on spawning whatever it happens to hit. And you can see that it's, well, it looks like I'm consistently, if I consistently tap, then it keeps on hitting the same thing. So what we can do is we can speed up the turn speed.
Yeah.
It's at its max fly speed. So we could get an item with more speed gems on it to increase that. And we can also just totally hide this underground so we can't see it at all. And we can set the delay up a little bit. So if we set the delay to, if we set the spawn delays to 0, they'll spawn almost instantly. Delay between spawn is 0. And then we set the message broadcast delay to say like 1, since we have to do integers. And then when we go in, no matter what, it should spawn something. And it's always going to be something random. And then the more...
All right, folks. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Alex.
Okay.
We have a winner.
Whoa, that's fast.
Well, yes, it was quick when I said, hey, got to get to 105 or 104. I cut it off, and it happened to be at 110, so they were coming in quick there in the end. But over on youtube.com, not posted 5 is the user who has won today. And if you're interested in winning a Wizzy the Blue NFT, you can come back and join us each and every week on Monday, where we do VoxEdit streams, on Wednesday, where we play your games. As long as you submit them to us and you say, hey, I want you to come play my game, we'll play test your game, give you feedback on that. Or here on Wednesdays where we teach, or I'm sorry, on Saturdays when we teach you new mechanics to use in your games. So join us each and every week for your eligibility to win an NFT if you did not today. And congratulations to Not Posted 5.
Awesome. So one thing I want to point out about this before anybody tries using this is that I came up with this on the spot, roughly. So it's not perfected. I would highly recommend you check out Cyberdragon's stream on the I forgot the name again. It's the name of the channel.
This is the Game Maker Academy.
Game Maker Academy. I can never remember that for some reason.
On twitch.tv/Game Maker Academy.
So check out the streams for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to check out a very advanced, complex, and completed idea for random generation. I'm sure it has a lot more kind of error checking stuff going on with it. The issues with mine that I can tell right now, right off the bat, is that for one, it's not very complicated. We've only got 3 options, so your randomization is going to be limited. Obviously, you can keep on building out that radius and putting more options in, but we also don't have a very effective range. Like these are inaccurate. This is very loose, you'd say, and the tolerances are very wide on this. So it's very possible that the message broadcaster will be in between these and not spawning anything when you click on it. It's also possible that the message broadcaster could end up overlapping more than one at a time. And I think I've set it up where it's wide enough that it's not going to happen. So what's more likely is that it's not going to spawn anything in its path around here. But if you put them closer together, then you could end up spawning 2 at the same time. So I'm sure that Cyberdragon in his setup has a lot more going on to make sure things like that don't happen. So there's a consistent, smooth experience. Off the top of my head, I wasn't sure how to do that, and it would probably take me a while to figure it out exactly. And we're out of time for today, so that is a tutorial I should find time to watch because it's very useful info.
It was pretty close to what you would see if you watched him create that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The only real distinction is that instead of 3 pads or 1 pad flying over 3, what he had done was had a singular pad, and then all of the different options were spinning in a circle. So there was like 15 options that spun in a circle over 1. And I don't know if that's easier or harder, but I mean it might
be more consistent. I think now I don't really have time to try this because, like I said, we're pretty much out of time. But I think if you set it up so that way it broadcasts only once or something like that. If you say broadcast only once on one of these, and I'm not sure what exact setup works, then you can make it so that way they all overlap, but only one will get selected, and it's a more consistent experience. You won't have button presses that end up not doing anything. And I think that's what his solution was for that. But I would just say go watch his tutorial, learn from that. He's the master on this, so I will gladly defer.
Real quick before we go, I just want to hit this one more time. So if you have not already, if you are making a game for the Game Jam right now, you can be approved as an artist, which means you can take your content that you've made in VoxEdit. I will approve you as an artist, and you can submit those arts to me to approve, and they will be published on the marketplace, but just not as an NFT. You can publish them for free for anyone to use, including yourself, or people who may be working with you on your game for the Game Jam. So go over to medium.com/sandbox-game. Over there, you'll see an article about our Game Jam. And halfway down, you will see the games, or I'm sorry, the form where you can fill out and become an official artist. So those folks who are doing that, you will have to make sure that all of your arts are submitted by at the latest a week before the game jam, because I can predict based on past game jams that almost all of these arts are going to pile in on me at once. Kind of like what happened in the last game jam, where almost all the games came in at the very end. But I will need to be sure that all of your custom assets, if you make them, are on the marketplace, because otherwise they can't be loaded by other people when you publish your game into the gallery. So the game won't work in the gallery unless your arts are already approved. Okay, so the game jam will end in exactly 1 month from today. It started already, but you can start right now if you like. That's a lot of time to make a game, and it can be any size between a 1x1 to a 4x4, whatever you like. As complex or as simple as you like, but it should be a full game experience. And keep in mind that it is a competition. So the top 10 will receive a land NFT as well as a sand reward, where the first place sand reward is over 90,000 sand. I think it's 92, but I don't have it pulled up on my screen right now. But that's a lot of sand. It's, for some folks that could be a whole year's salary just for making a game for the next month. So definitely worth checking out, worth having fun in. And I love these sneakers, Alex. What are these sneakers that you're showing us?
These sneakers are for winners of the Game Jam 4.
Oh,
So,
really?
this is related to our partnership with Artifact. They designed these shoes initially, so you can actually see the names of the artists. So, Artifact did these Atari red and glowing. Then Blender DAC did a Pong one. MGXS did Super Breakout. NBO4D, I'm not sure how to say their name, did Asteroids. 8 or VIII did Food Fight. Zome did Black Widow. And then there's another one that's not showing up here because it's actually getting the name fixed. Retro something. I don't remember the name. Retro something did another game from Atari. The name is totally escaping me right now. But yeah, these are going to be distributed to people who already own versions of these shoes from Artifact. So these actually, people won't be able to get these unless they already own the Artifact shoes. So they're pretty rare. Most of these are 50 copies. I believe this one is 20 copies, and this one is a 1 of 1. But then I did designs for landowners, which are blue, and Game Jam winners, which are orange. I believe the Game Jam ones are for Game Jam number 4, so I'm not sure if we're going to do something retroactively for other Game Jam winners. We will see. And then these are for all the landowners. But yeah,
nice.
This is a little sneak peek.
Well, I have 2 questions that I want to answer, I guess, real quick, because we are over, but they are important.
Sure.
The link for submitting art I send to you directly in an email after you apply to be an artist. As soon as I approve that, then I'll take the small group, and I usually approve them after each stream, so I should be doing it within the hour. I'll approve all those artists, and then I can send you an email that says, here's how to do your submission for your art. And then this one is more a question for you, Alex. Kravas TV. My question is, how do we handle the items that get removed from the marketplace, resulting in the asset not being available in the game, which may break behaviors and create bugs?
So that is a big problem, and I'm working with the dashboard team on how to handle this better, so that way it does not lock people out of their experiences. For the most part, so the reason this is happening is because we made significant changes to the equipment system. So basically, the way you saw me wearing the shoes earlier, that system got totally updated, and so all of the equipment that we've made before, we need to re-upload, and so it's a process of like pulling them back and re-uploading them. We try to do that in like a time span of like a minute or two, so that way there's no downtime for anybody. that doesn't always work out. Sometimes an artist isn't like available at the moment. Sometimes there's something else going on. So if you are getting that message, that it's like the reference of the object or something like that. I can't remember what the exact message says, but it pops up on your screen and you're not able to enter your game. Go ahead and direct message me at Kamisazi on Twitter. I'm going to type that in the chat. So message me and I will ask for your game log so I can find out which asset is iterated that you need republished so we can move it as quickly as possible. To find your game log, it's pretty easy. You want to go to your username. So you go to your hard drive, users, username, app data, local load, TSP gaming, and the Sandbox maker. And there's this file here called player, and it might look like a text document, but it's actually player.log. You can open it up in a text editor. If you send me that file, then I will be able to find out which asset ID is missing from your game and try to accelerate it. So send that to me if you can, and we'll try to fix it. The normal process is we try not to ever pull things back from being published because it's not good to do that. But the improvements we needed to make to the equipment system were essential to make things work correctly. Otherwise, well, I can show you what what it looks like if we weren't doing the fix. So if I set these as equipment and I set just a regular avatar, then the shoes will actually mount on me backwards, which looks a little goofy. So we're revamping the whole equipment system and the whole avatar system so everything faces forwards the correct way. Yeah, so let me know. And I've had to help a couple people in the past few days with getting iterated items published as quickly as possible so they could activate or get into their things. Andy Ritchie, actually, I helped him yesterday before stream to get that done. So yeah, so let me know. We're trying to make this as smooth as possible, but it's a temporary hiccup. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. And I saw one question about opening Vox in Magic of Voxel. So we don't have a way right now to go from VoxEdit to Magic of Voxel. It only goes the other way right now, but that may be a feature coming up soon. That's something that's been requested, and we do have somebody working on VoxEdit right now who has done that kind of exporting from one format to Magic of Voxel before in another program. So that may be a feature that we see soon. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of there before I forgot. So have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Monday.
Well, Monday. Joseph will see you Monday. I will see you on Wednesday.
See you later.
Bye, everybody.